Money FM 89.3. Best of breakfast. The Bigger Picture, only on Money FM 89.3.
Good morning. Welcome to The Bigger Picture. And it is going to be a busy week ahead. All eyes on what Donald Trump will be up to, as well as what else is going to be on the market calendar to help us navigate what's to come. We've got Matt Taylor. He is the Senior Director for FTI Consulting. Matt, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. It's going to be a busy one. So let's get started with how things are going to be setting up for the week.
Yeah, let's take a look at the markets to kick off the fresh trading week, because we are seeing a positive start for the Asian trading session today. The markets that have just opened up around the region, Australia, Japan, they are in positive territory. And this follows a strong performance that we saw for the US markets on Friday. And in fact, over the course of last week, it was the strongest week that we've seen for markets stateside since President Trump's election victory back in November. On Friday, we had the Dow up by about 0.8%. It was the laggard. We had stronger gains of more than 1% for both the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. But for the week, after really strong gains, the Dow was up by 3.7%, the S&P 500 up by 2.9%. The NASDAQ saw gains of about 2.5%. That was the best week for the NASDAQ since December, while the Dow and S&P 500 had their best weeks, as I mentioned, since November, since the presidential election. Markets stateside sharing some better than expected inflation data over the week, which showed that prices are continuing to moderate. That's obviously good because it means that the Fed can probably continue to cut interest rates as it's been doing. The US markets closed though today, so it is a shortened trading week for the Martin Luther King holiday, and as of course President Trump is inaugurated in Washington, D.C. But due to that frigid weather that we've been hearing about, the inauguration moving inside the Capitol building, one of only a handful of times that the presidential inauguration has not been held outside on the steps of the Capitol building.
Yeah, Donald Trump back to the White House, and also risk appetite back as well. And interestingly enough, we've been seeing him describe himself as a pro-crypto president. So we are looking at this meme coin, $Trump, that's creating quite a bit of a frenzy. What can you tell us about this meme coin?
Yeah, well, we know that President Trump has been pro-crypto, and since his election victory in November, we have seen a huge surge in crypto asset prices, in particularly Bitcoin, for instance, of course, surging for the first time above $100,000 since the president won in November. But some more evidence, as you mentioned, of the exuberance around crypto and digital assets. We've seen the president release a Trump meme coin or virtual token just ahead of his inauguration later on today. But what's been so stunning about this is the absolute surge that we've seen. The market value of this meme coin surging to more than $5 billion. So it's really been quite extraordinary to witness. A lot of these meme coins, they're not linked to any kind of tangible asset, so quite speculative, and that kind of goes some way to explain why we've seen these particularly sharp moves to above $5 billion for the value of this coin.
Yeah, exciting times ahead for the crypto space. And also, talking about what is going to be on the calendar, we've got the Bank of Japan in action on Friday. So what moves are we expecting on the front?
Yeah, this one is being watched closely by the markets. The Bank of Japan decision due out on Friday, where we are expecting to see a rate hike come out there from the central bank, 25 basis points. That'll take the current rate setting to about 0.5% in Japan. Economists and futures markets are saying that it's almost certain that there will be a rate hike. However, they are cautioning that if President Trump's inaugural speech or the things that he does in the first few days of his presidency, we know that he's going to sign a number of executive orders, but what else is he going to be doing? If that roils financial markets or sends shockwaves through the global economy or markets, there could be a chance that we see the Bank of Japan hold pat. So it's interesting because it will really depend on what kind of rhetoric we get out of Washington, D.C. over the next few days.
Yeah, part of the consideration is how the growth picture is going to look like. And talking about growth numbers, we've got some coming out from across the region.
Yeah, a busy week, as you mentioned, in terms of economic data. We are watching GDP numbers from both South Korea and Taiwan, which are going to show significantly different growth rates. In South Korea, we're expecting to see the fourth quarter growth number rise by just 0.2%, which will take the annualized growth rate to just 1.4%. And we're expecting to see signs that the domestic economy is deteriorating when we get that data out on Thursday. Of course, we're continuing to watch the political ructions in South Korea as well. Consumer sentiment has taken a big hit too, so these data points will be released over the course of the week, and we're expected to see a slowing picture in South Korea. On the other hand, though, over in Taiwan, we're going to see some strong growth numbers for the 2024 year. The growth figure there expected to come in at 4.7% for the year, so fairly strong there, and a big improvement from just the 1.4% annual growth we saw in 2023. We've had a lot of growth numbers out in the last week or so, because on Friday, the market's also cheering a better than expected or an in-line print that we got on the Chinese economy, GDP growing at 5% in 2024 in China, which was, you guessed it, smack in line with what the government forecasts were for growth over the year. So whether or not you can be cynical about if China managed to achieve that 5% figure or not, which they said that they were hoping to, remains to be seen. But some good news there on that growth front, at least, given the concerns that we've been seeing about the weakening state of the Chinese economy.
Yeah, on top of that, we've got to watch out for those tariffs to potentially play a part in the year ahead. We've been in conversation with Matt Taylor. He's the Senior Director for FTI Consulting, helping us to lay out what to watch out for this week. Matt, thanks so much for your time and insights.
Thanks very much.
All right, catch you again soon. Stay Money FM 89.3.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.